Welcome to the Pocket Money webinar for the month of, what month are we in? September of 2012. This will be the last webinar that we'll have over the next, well, I guess we'll have one in October, and then we'll take a break for November because of the holiday and December because of the holiday, and then we'll jump right back in January. So I'll be sending out the next list of webinar topics. If you have any questions or any suggestions or recommendations, I'd be happy to take a look at those and try to incorporate them in the upcoming schedule. Let's go ahead and jump into learning objectives. We're going to do Pocket Money, which is a finance program that's available for all the different devices. I believe it's available for the iOS system as well as Android. And so we're going to take a look at how to create new accounts, how to add transactions once you have accounts created, how to create recurring transactions such as paying rent or paying a utility bill, etc. And then also how to establish a budget. It will help you identify how much money you're spending within certain categories and hopefully try and keep you on track as you go through the month. Just very briefly, my name's Michelle Wild and I live and work out in California and have quite a few years experience working specifically with TBI, but also with other individuals that have cognitive challenges. I have created something that I call Making Cognitive Connections. The emphasis really is on using smart devices, whether it's an iOS device or an Android device or a tablet, and identifying the basic benefits that are available in using these devices as a memory or a cognitive prosthetic. I then also teach the fundamental technical skills necessary to use the devices, but I try to draw a parallel between using the devices and the cognitive skills that underlie the development of the technical skills. And then finally, and most importantly, is the ability to then apply those same cognitive skills to everyday lives. And hopefully that helps individuals kind of see the practical nature of using these devices and how relevant they can be in everyone's day-to-day life. So let's jump into, let's jump into adding accounts, and we'll take a quick look at what some of the cognitive connections are and what some of the topics are, and then we'll actually get into Pocket Money and start that process. So the Making Cognitive Connections aspects include attention to detail, planning, categorization, decision-making, organization, and then relevant and irrelevant. So we'll try and make a connection with those cognitive skills as we talk about this. In terms of the adding accounts, there's several different types of accounts you can incorporate: cash, credit card, money market, and savings. There's also some other types of accounts, liability accounts, etc. I'm not going to go into all the specifics. I'm not a finance person, so you wouldn't want me to go into the specifics, but I can cover these basic areas. And then you can also identify the institution in which you have the account with, the phone number, any fees that might be associated, and any limits that you might have on that particular account. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the information that you may want to include, and then there's other information you probably don't want to include as you create this information. So basically this is the generic Pocket Money screen. You'll see down here at the bottom we can see an Accounts tab here or button, and we can also see a Budgets button. So we'll talk about both of these as I mentioned. But we're going to start with just the Accounts. So we're going to make sure we're on the Accounts tab, which we are. And then we're going to come up to the Edit button in the upper left-hand corner. You'll see I have two accounts created, B of A account, which is a checking account. You'll notice I have a little check icon here to help me know that that's a checking account. I also have a cash account that I've created. I can create a new account by coming over to the right-hand side, the little plus sign, and if you've joined previous webinars, you know that anytime you see a plus sign, basically that means that you can add or create something new. We can come here, you'll see there's lots of information that it's asking for. We can create a new account. I'm going to go ahead and put this with Schools First. That's a credit union out here in California for teachers. So I'm going to type in Schools First. I'm going to indicate that this is a credit card account, so I can choose the option of type and then choose credit card. Let me go back to that real quick. This is where you can see you can create asset accounts, you can create a credit line, investment, savings, etc. So there's a lot of different types that you can create. Typically, the individuals that I work with have a credit card, a couple credit cards, a cash account, and maybe a savings or something like that, checking account. But I don't usually have them put all the other kinds of accounts in. You can change the icon. So this is actually a credit card account, and this is going to be a Visa card. So I'd go ahead and tap on the Visa icon. I can identify here if I want when this account expires. So I could put, 01/01/13, just so that I know. I can identify, I typically would not put the account number in here. If someone were to get a hold of my iPad or my iPhone or whatever device I might be using, I would not want them to know my actual account numbers, my credit card numbers, anything like that. I am okay putting the institution in there, so I'd put Schools First in there. I do like to put the phone number in case something were to happen and I needed to call the bank. It's just a very quick way of being able to find that number. You could put their website in there if you want. If there's a fee, like a monthly fee, let's say of $5. Let me back up here, sorry. If there's a monthly fee of, let's say, $5 that you have to pay. If you have an overdraft account, let's say if this were a checking account and I had an overdraft that was linked up to my savings account or something, I could put that in here. I can identify that I want to round to. I can put some notes in here if I want. So there's a lot of different pieces of information that I can incorporate into this account info screen. Once I've added all the information that I want included, I'll just go ahead and tap on the accounts icon up in the upper left corner again. And now you'll see I have a B of A account that was there before. I have a cash account, and now I have a Schools First Visa account. One of the things you'll see here is we have our little move icon. I've mentioned this in previous webinars as well. If you just tap on that icon over on the far right, you can drag and reorder the accounts in any way that you choose. Also over here on the left-hand side is the delete icon. If you tap on that delete icon, it's going to bring up the option to delete. So you can't really delete an account accidentally in this particular program, which is nice. You'd actually have to hit two different combinations of keys or tap two different combinations on the screen in order to actually delete something. So now we're back to our main Pocket Money screen, and you'll see I have those same three accounts. I did incorporate a cash account previously, and I started off with a $50 balance because I wanted to kind of give you an idea of how that works. So first thing we're going to do, we've talked about the different accounts and stuff, so let me jump back to my PowerPoint and see what our next topic is. That happens to be adding transactions. And when it comes to transactions, you'll see that we can create a withdrawal or a deposit, or we can actually transfer from one account to another. The transferring from one account to another I find actually very handy. I use Finance app every day, many times a day. Anytime I purchase anything, I add it to my Finance app and then I reconcile my accounts. The concept of the transfer is if you are making, let's say, a payment on a credit card from your checking account, you could transfer that money from the checking account to the credit card, and as a result of that, it would obviously deduct the money from your checking account, but it would then show that you've paid down your credit card. So that's kind of what the transfer is all about. You have many categories that come standard with the app, but you can also edit and or add new categories to the app, and then you can also create repeating transactions. So let's go ahead and jump back to the app itself, and we'll take a look at some of those skills. So let's go to our cash account to start with. Again, if you tap on the cash account, it just kind of shows you the account information, so make sure I am where I want to be. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tap on the account again, tap on the plus sign, and that means I want to add a transaction or edit a transaction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this is a withdrawal, it's on today's date. It's coming from my cash account. Now if I happen to tap the wrong account, I can always tap the little arrow to the right and see which account and actually change the account if I want to. I'm going to go ahead and put in here Starbucks. So I'm spending my money at Starbucks. I can add my category. If I tap on that arrow to the right hand side, you'll see these are all the standard categories that come on the device. So I have an auto category, bank charges, charity, etc., food, dining, and groceries, a home account, etc. What I'm going to do is, Starbucks is not really a necessity, so it's not really dining out in my mind, and it's also not groceries. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to add a sub account to my food account. You'll see I tapped on the little plus sign where it says food, on the line that says food, and that gives me my add subcategory. And so I'm just going to put snacks here as my subcategory and go ahead and say OK. And you'll notice now that it's incorporated a snacks category. So I'm going to go ahead and say done. And I'm going to choose snacks, and again, this just kind of gives me an idea. It's kind of discretionary stuff. I really don't have to go to Starbucks, but it allows me to incorporate whatever kinds of categories I want. So I just bought a latte. It's pumpkin spice latte time, so I'm going to say I spent $5.25 on my latte. I'm going to go ahead and say done, and then I'm going to go ahead and say save. And you'll see now that this indicates that my current cash value that I have or should have in my pocket or my wallet is $44.75. If I come back here, you'll see I received the $50 from Jean, and it was a miscellaneous kind of a thing. I've now spent $5.25 of my $50, so I should have $44.75 in my pocket. And what this does is this really gives people a much better idea of what they're spending. My experience has been with individuals is oftentimes they'll have $25 or $30 in their pocket and not have any idea within a day or two, maybe even the same day, where they spent all that money. That becomes an issue for family members and also for the individual with the brain injury. So what I like to do is try and get them to use something like this so that it helps them track their expenses and what they're actually spending their money on. I'm going to go in and do one more thing here. We'll show schools first. So this again is my credit card. I'm going to go ahead and down at the bottom add a new transaction. I'm going to do a withdrawal again. This time I'm going to put something like Shell, and this is going to be a category of auto, but I'm going to create another auto subcategory because there could be auto maintenance, there can be fuel, etc. And again, this is where some of those categorical skills or creating categories and understanding that come into play. So I'm going to tap edit one more time. I'm going to add a subcategory called fuel to my auto category and go ahead and tap on done. And now I'm going to say that I'm purchasing gas at Shell and the fuel category. I'm also going to put gas is expensive now, so I'm going to put $45.23 in there. And I'm going to go ahead and say done. And I'm going to save that. And now you'll see that I have my credit card bill is going to show up as $45.23. Again, this is very important information for individuals to have. I can come to the all transactions section and I can get a look at the information, where I'm spending my money, how much money I'm spending. This would be expenses, this would be income, and then this would be the accounts that that information is associated with.